Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today's video we're going to be talking about the new change with the new update 25.3 and the fact that prestige now is visible, so you can see individual players prestige and you can see also alliance prestige now. And it is quite commonly known that first and foremost, finding out your prestige was fairly confusing because previously in game it was like a very annoying and finicky process, and that number was never displayed like anywhere, let alone being made public. And second of all, that it used to be kind of like highly guarded secret stuff that at the top end of the game everybody was kind of trying to keep hidden in order to prevent rival alliances with similar prestige overtaking them, and that was pretty much it. So there is a lot of talk. I have seen multiple videos about this topic, and I kind of feel most of them were fairly somewhat wrong. And obviously I can only represent my opinion and my experience with this change thus far, and I in no way, shape or form have some sort of absolute knowledge on this subject. But from what I have seen, from what I have heard, and how the LAN chats basically have talked about it, the reality of it is that it hasn't really changed much when it comes to players being kicked out for prestige reasons or anything like that. Because the fact of the matter is that your individual prestige was always known to your alliance. And when anybody recruited anyone, they automatically demanded to know possible recruits' prestige. So that was a basically openly accessible information whenever you were in alliance, within your alliance, and was also always requested information when you were trying to apply for an alliance. So in a matter of somebody being kicked out of prestige, I don't think it affects it at all whatsoever, more so than it did before. And if anything, I do genuinely feel that this just makes it simpler. It makes it more scam kind of proof, because you don't have an option of somebody faking or lying about it. There is an easy way how to check about it now, and I think it's a great change. If anybody recalls a video I made a while ago where I basically wished for a lot more player stats to be displayed in the game, and many different like leaderboards, so on and so forth, or some sort of maybe a separate website even to see how well you fight, what's your prestige, what are your like personal statistics, so we can gauge players better by their engagement rates, by their skill wise, so on and so forth. And this prestige is kind of like a step in that direction. So myself personally, I'm definitely happy for this change. I think it's cool. I do not think it particularly hurts anyone. And again, I am saying this as a member of top prestige alliance in the game total currently. So if anybody should be kind of worried that some other people are going to see our prestige now and going to try and overtake it or whatever, then that should be us. But in reality, it changed absolutely nothing for us, because alliance quests happen every weekly. That gives you a good indication of everybody's prestige anyways, at least where you rank in between each other. And B, when you're in high prestige alliances, then you pretty much always work to improve your prestige anyways, whether your next alliance is 5 prestige points or 50 prestige points away from you. You always kind of have that idea in your head that prestige is something that you should and have to work on, and that always has affected rank up decisions from these top end alliance players, and it will continue to do so. So when it comes to actual kind of like inner dynamics of top end alliances, I don't think anything's changed. I have seen many different videos posted by people who said like, that's cutthroat, there's going to be people kicked because of prestige, and the whales are angry, and all sorts of that kind of statements. And pretty much every single video that I watched was made by somebody who just isn't in one of these alliances. And that is kind of like a pure speculation. Well, then I can come out and, at least from my part, say then prestige obviously is always an important issue, but it's not as cutthroat that everybody thinks. people are still reasonable. Obviously, it is expected to increase prestige of every single alliance member, but the mentality there is a bit different. It's not that your alliance is chasing you to increase prestige, more so than you are looking for ways to work on your own prestige because you have sense of team, sense of kind of like duty. And for instance, we saw a rank 3 Thor Ragnarok ranked up in NY. And fact of the matter is, nobody from team's leadership reached out to the person and asked him to make that rank up above any other champion. He did it by himself on his own accord, saying that he pulled the full TF5CC skill from Abyss. He's close to forming his second skill, Catalyst. Therefore, Nick Fury can wait. He's going to rank up Thor Ragnarok, and he's going to rank up Nick Fury afterwards. And that is quite often the mentality many of the endgame players have, as in they first do the prestige rank up, make sure that prestige is up to date. That lets them get more rewards overall over long term, and they end up ranking more champions that they want to rank up as addition to the prestige champions, so they end up with more ranked up champions overall. But either way, so as we can see here on the screen right now, people have already been checking kind of like the biggest alliance prestiges, making the list, making the charts. So this information now is pretty much publicly available to anybody who's interested. Here are, I believe this list was posted yesterday. Obviously prestige is a fairly fluctuating thing and it changes pretty much daily, but this is where they were at a couple days ago anyways. And yeah, so this information is out there, but I don't think it really has changed anything or much anyways, because it's not like prestige is something you can casually get or acquire randomly just when you see that you are nearby when trying to overtake your next alliance. Fact of the matter is, if you have the ability to increase your prestige as an individual or as an alliance towards the high-end brackets, you're using those opportunities and you're doing that regardless of how close the people are behind you or how close you are to overtaking the next person. So all in all, I definitely do like these changes. I do like the fact that people can jump around different profiles. You can check out your YouTuber prestiges. You can check out your rivals prestige, whatever. And I think it's cool. I don't think this is gonna change alliances all of a sudden becoming cutthroat, because as I mentioned before, your prestige within alliance was already known before and was kind of like a requirement upon joining, and any alliance who does take prestige seriously did have that information about every single player in their group, and they also followed it before. This just makes it easier to follow everybody's prestige overall, and it makes it also easier for each individual player to follow their own prestige. So once again, I personally do like this change. I don't think it is harmful really to anyone. It just makes things more clear, which I can appreciate. I have absolutely no problem with it whatsoever. I in fact hope they release more and more statistics of people's accounts publicly. Perhaps instead of total number of heroes, they can also release a number of 6 stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, whatever, and so on and so forth, and just kind of like build up from there, because currently when you browse somebody's account profile page, you get very limited and quite often insignificant or irrelevant information. The more relevant information you get, the better it is for any alliance to judge potential recruits, and the better kind of like clearer understanding you can get where each player is at any given time. And I think that's cool. I think that should be encouraged. And yeah, one last final kind of note I wanted to talk about, and I was somewhat disappointed a bit, but it's not in like a bad sense. I was just hoping Kabam would jump to an opportunity and add a prestige leaderboard to the current leaderboard section, because currently we have individual player leaderboards for total base hero rating and the strongest team, and you have alliance leaderboards for total size, like as in total hero rating and the war rating. So I think it would be also an interesting addition to the game to have individual player prestige leaderboard as well as alliance prestige leaderboard, because all of this information is made public anyways. So I'm sure when it comes to kind of like making this chart, there are people already kind of like checking them out, making the lists. As we can see here, here's a list of top 12 prestige alliances, and I'm sure that somebody's eventually going to come up with some sort of top prestige leaderboard as well, as accurately as they can. But Kabam could just kind of like save the trouble for some people and add actual leaderboards to that, and I think that would be, again, nothing kind of like major or drastic, but it would just be one of those small quality of life changes, because, you know, they might as well, since they made the information public, they might as well take the next step and sort it out and make it more easily viewable for people. So that all being said, once again, I do not mind this change at all. I think it's cool. I think it's welcome. I think they should go further with it, display more stats, make different leaderboards, add different things to the game to give alliances as much information about players' profiles and give each individual players as much information about alliances as well, because the more clarity in the game, the more easier it is to see where each and every single one of you stand, the easier it is to make a push to the next level, to see where you have to be, where people are at, so on and so forth. So I definitely encourage it. I like it. I think it's a cool change, and I don't think that endgame community at large looks at this change somehow negatively as well, because, oh my god, their secrets are being leaked, like whatever, it's not that big of a deal. It just was one of those things that you weren't really kind of like mentioning out publicly, but it's not, again, that big of a deal that changes everything. So yeah, anyways, I like them. I think Kabam did well with this one. I think it was long overdue. I think they should take it further, give us more stats, give us more leaderboards, and make the game kind of like more interesting from browsing and comparing point as well. All that being said, that will do for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya.